These are 10 albums that had an impact on me. Hey, yo. Welcome back to the Jimi Priceless Show, the weekly YouTube show hosted by your boy, Jimi Priceless. We're back once again with another episode. So, shout out to everyone that tuned in, checked out the previous ones, left a like, shared it to the timelines, shout out to y'all. I appreciate it. But, for this episode, I wanted to speak about, as I mentioned in the intro, 10 albums that had an impact on me, as an artist and, as creative, and just albums that I really enjoyed listening to at the time. And I got this idea because it was actually like a Facebook thing, I think a year or two ago. Someone will tag you and be like, post 10 albums without an explanation that had an impact on you. So, I did that, and then the memory came up on my Facebook. So I shared it, and I was like, you know what, let me give those 10 albums on YouTube, but with an explanation. So here we are with this video. So I'm gonna run through these in alphabetical order, since that's like the easiest. I don't want y'all out there thinking I'm ranking albums over the other or whatever. So first album is American Gangster by Jay-Z. So I only got into rap, I would say, like near to the end of Jay-Z's career. Like it was after the Black Album, because I was a big Linkin Park fan, so that was basically the only artists I would listen to was just Linkin Park. So then they did the mashup collision course thing with Jay-Z, and then I started listening to Jay-Z, and then I got the first like Jay-Z album that I actually got was Kingdom Come, which isn't regarded as highly as all of his others. Well, I didn't find anything bad about it, but also I didn't listen to any Jay-Z albums before that, to have context to compare to. But this album, American Gangster, came out just the year after Kingdom Come. And, it was inspired by the movie American Gangster, which at the time, was also something that I was just getting into, like these gangster movies and mafia movies that I took a real liking to. So, so Jay-Z tried to do the soundtrack for it. They were like, nah, we already got the situation. And then he was like, all right, I'm going to just make an album inspired by it. So that was this album. And it was really well produced, really soulful. The lyricism is, Jay-Z. So, but just like on the storytelling side, it's why I really like listening to Jay-Z's like lyrics. Of course he has the bars and double entendres, but more so just like his word choice is so good for like painting imagery or getting a point across. Like there can be 10 different ways of saying one sentence, and he will like have the best way of saying that sentence, to make it connect to the story he's trying to tell. And I actually saw, I think it was VH1 Storytellers, like a live performance where he went through the album top to bottom and kind of, gave his thoughts and his behind the scenes look into like the making of the songs and which scenes in the movie inspired which song specifically. So, if it's still somewhere up on YouTube, it's a really great watch. If you haven't checked out the album, check out the album. Although, anyone that knows me knows that I don't fuck with bonus tracks. So the narrative of the album runs from track 1 to 13, and then the last are bonus tracks. So I would always like, back in the day, I would still have like my father's like Technics, like CD setup. So it would be like the CD player and then the equalizer and then like the actual amp. So on the CD player part, you could actually program, your listening experience. I would always just program the first 13 songs, because that was the narrative. Because I don't know, I just don't like bonus tracks on the album, But yeah, that's the first album, American Gangster by Jay-Z. Then the next album on the list is Demon Days by Gorillaz, which was one of the first CDs I actually got. Actually in Town Center, there used to be a CD store. I was like, somewhere near OK. But yeah, they were just like on the corner. And I remember it was like a white guy with long hair and a beard, and he was like, oh, I also want to check out this album. And I was like, alright, because like I didn't like, I wasn't a fan of Gorillaz before. Like only song I knew was Clint Eastwood, and I knew they were like the cartoon band. That's like their thing. Like if I saw like 2D this cartoon with the blue hair, that's Gorillaz. But then they dropped Feel Good Inc., which just blew up. And then I like Dirty Harry, and I like, what was the other single? Day. Because I was like, oh shit, that's just like one group, like all of these different songs on one album, and it sounds so different. So that combined with the animation, representation of themselves, it's not like you see the artist. I was like really intrigued into the album, and then, I got it. And like at the time, I remember going like, oh, okay. Because I thought it was going to be an album full of like, just feel good Inksman. But, obviously the album was more varied. And it kind of grew on me more and more. Like I liked it. Like I would always listen to it start to finish. But I would never understand, like, why would you put this on here? Or why would you put this at the end? And then, now, years later, I kind of get it, and also really influenced my production style, because at the time, I was just listening to like rap, when I was getting into rap, so just listen to rap beats. So when you listen to Daft Punk, listen to Gorillaz Demon Days, like just the way they would build up beats, and the kind of, like they had no one set style. They could just mess around with anything and just, bring it together nicely. So yeah, Demon Days by Gorillaz, y'all can check that out too. Then the next album, which you probably will know based off my Freudian slip I just had, is Discovery by Daft Punk. This might be actually the last album in the list that I actually heard, because like I knew One More Time and I knew Something About Us, just based on the music videos with their whole anime style, it's watching it. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then they had Romanthony doing the vocals on I think it was One More Time. We had the auto-tune. I was like, oh shit, this sounds different. So, and that's like my first exposure to like auto-tune, or maybe it was using some other shit. But to me, that like that robotic effect, that's where I heard it first. And it's kind of why I use it today, because I thought it sounded so good. So how I got into Daft Punk was, so they had Random Access Memories, and they had Get Lucky, and then the album came out, and then somebody did a mashup of a Kanye, like a cappella, over the instrumental of Doing It Right, which is one of the songs on the Random Access Memories. So I was like, damn, this beat goes hard. And I checked out the Random Access Memories, so I was like, okay, I like this. And then I went back and, into the older catalog. And then, Discovery really like stuck with me, because I'm not one for like house or like disco or dance music at all, but something about the way it was done on that album, or maybe I just didn't know what it was really. And that was just my first introduction to it. But the way it sounded on that album, I was like, okay, I get it. I get why people like this. Even though I'm not a fan, I'm not going to be out there in the club just, dancing to it. But I get it, man. And it was really something I could just run it back, play it over again, the whole album. Because usually with electronic like music, it's always like 7-8 minute songs, but this were like 3-minute songs. And even the production, a lot of it was like samples, and not just like looping up a sample, but like actually sample chops, which for me was like, oh shit, I was like heavy into like rap at the time, so I was like, oh, it's like hip-hop shit, cutting up samples. So I really liked it, even though it does have long songs, like I think the last song is 10 minutes. But to me, it's just one of those albums where it's just a great like journey to go on. Whether you like just listening to it or whether you're busy with something else, it's just great to have on and run, top to bottom. And that really inspired me to get into I won't say like house music, but kind of more dancier tempos and drum patterns and things of that nature. Then the next album, and like my favorite album of all time, just because of like the way it sounds and just the overall impact it had on me, is Graduation by Kanye West. When I got this album, like I knew of Kanye, like I knew the singles, like of his previous albums, like Gold Digger, All Falls Down, etc., etc. But then I saw the visuals for Good Life, it was all animated. Like I don't know, for some reason, animation just gets me going when it comes to music. So then I was like, nah, I gotta get this guy's album. So then I got his album, and it was just like mind blown. My mind was blown after I heard this album. It's also the first Kanye album I listened to. So, I remember listening to Flashing Lights, and then just how it just transitions between, those orchestral strings and then those synthy like stabs. I was just, chef's kiss. And like to this day, my favorite album ever. Then the next album, In My Mind by Pharrell. Basically the Show Me What You Got video got me to buy this album, and this chain with once again, it's cartoon animated manachis. I was like, nah, I gotta get this guy's album. So yeah, like production on it was next level. Even today, if you listen to the beats, it's crazy. Lyrically, I mean, Pharrell's a producer, not a rapper, so I know I'm gonna critique him. Like now I can critique him, but at the time I was like, oh shit. Like the first rap I wrote, or one of the first raps I wrote, not for songs, it was like for school arts and culture shit thingy. I kind of patterned my flow after his flow and Show Me What You Got. So, shout out to Pharrell. The In My Mind album was fire. Those beats on there though. Then after that, we got Lupe Fiasco's The Cool. And that is actually the full name. It's not called The Cool, it's Lupe Fiasco's The Cool. It's the actual title of the album. And I've been a Lupe fan since Kick Push and his first album. So of course I was gonna get this album. And basically it's more of a concept album, tells the story of the Cool, and the other characters also. It involves the game in the street. So like I don't want to spoil it for everyone who hasn't checked it out and looked up the folklore behind it, but super inspiring. Just Lupe as a rapper, like my favorite rapper, even though he didn't drop my favorite album, but like just rapping, like I mentioned it before on the show, whenever I hear like certain Lupe songs, it's like it's so like motivating and demotivating at the same time, because it gives you like something to reach for. Like, I want to get to that level, but at the same time it's like, shit, I might not get to this level ever. So Lupe Fiasco's The Cool, great album. The next one we got is Meteora by Linkin Park. The first album I ever got, period, because before the only series I would have were like singles. But that was like the first album, and I played the shit out of this album. Like, it's not a joke. This album is only like 30 something minutes long, and that's only 30 minutes worth of music I would listen to forever, for like, I don't know, until I got Hybrid Theory, maybe a year or so later. And yeah, I don't make music anything like Meteor, but rapping, that's what I got from Linkin Park. Those are the first raps I rapped. Those are the first raps I learned, And to this day, I keep much note in high regard when it comes to, lyricism and just songwriting in general. So, if someone out there is still not heard Meteor by Linkin Park, go check that out. And then the next album is Priceless by Birdman, which may come to a surprise. It's not the most like super duper like lyrical or next level production. The production is like peak late 2000s. But I don't know, I just really like the album. It's something that about Birdman on a beat that just sounds cool. It's like he's not even rapping to me. He's just talking his thing. He's just doing Birdman handed up, sounding like a pigeon and shit. And also, Jimi Priceless, part of why the second part of my stage name is Priceless is because Birdman made it sound very cool on this album. So there you go. You can go check that out. And the next album is Teflon Don by Rick Ross. It was actually the second Rick Ross album I got. The first one I got was Deeper Than the Rap. But this one I like because it was the first time, when I got the album by a major, artist that was like 11 songs long. I was like, wait, what? Did I get like the wrong CD? Something go wrong in printing and manufacturing of this? But no, the album was just 11 songs long and it was like 11 bangers. Okay, mine is one or two. It was like, there was one song I didn't like, but it wasn't like, I wouldn't say it's unbearable. But there's definitely one song to me that stands out as like my least liked song. But the song, just based on the shortness, I was able to play it so much and learn the lyrics, and it was just such a dope experience, because the rap people usually have like 16 songs long albums, so you get used to that time frame. So this album kind of taught me that it's okay You know, you don't need to follow a format. You know, you can rather hit people with 11 bangers than hit them with like 16 songs and only 11 be like bangers or 11 be that good. So, yeah, another kind of time capsule for the early, introduction of like trap becoming the standard. You know, when it had its peak run in the rap. So yeah, it's a great album. Teflon Don by Rick Ross. Then the last album is definitely not least, probably the one that inspired me the most, or one of them that inspired me the most as far as just rapping is, and that is the Carter 3 by Lil Wayne. Like I can't explain like how much I would listen to this album and like just dissect it and learn the raps, and like it was just a moment in time where Lil Wayne was just the go to me, like just based off this album. And I know like the Carter 2 was technically better as a hip hop album, because Carter 3 had like Lollipop and all this kind of not as great, songs in terms of rapping. But yeah, fire album. Like you guys gotta check it out. Some wild shit saying on here. Anyway, I'm kind of rushing through the last few albums just because I'm pressed for time. But I'm very glad that I got the actual CD, because there's a song called Playing with Fire featuring Betty Wright that's like removed from the online versions because due to copyrights or royalty disagreements or for some legal shit, some paperwork related to the reason that song isn't on current versions of Carter 3. But I got it because I got the CD. And Lil Wayne with these punchlines and his lyrical non sequiturs really inspired my style of writing, because I do very much the same thing, where sometimes I'll just be saying lines because I think they sound cool, they don't connect. And the big reason is because of Lil Wayne, because the way he pulled it off, it's like, oh shit, I don't need to make all this shit come together. I can just say one random line that sounds cool. But yeah, so those are my 10 albums that really had an impact on me and inspired me. And also just to recap, it's American Gangster by Jay-Z, Demon Days by Gorillaz, Discovery by Daft Punk, Graduation by Kanye West, In My Mind by Pharrell, Lupe Fiasco's The Cool by Lupe Fiasco, Meteor by Linkin Park, Priceless by Birdman, Teflon Don by Rick Ross, and The Carter 3 by Lil Wayne. So yeah, this is officially the longest episode of the show ever. So if you guys want to hear some more, tune in again next week. Let me know what you want to hear me talk about in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm out.